Since some damage was found on the axle holding the cylinder, that needed to be cleaned up, put in the blasting cabinet. Did a little mock-up to see if a spacer extra could be fitted on reassembly to remove any side-to-side play. The cylinder after repacking was given some new paint. A friend of my father put some weld on the axle and it was put in a lathe. Secured a bucket underneath to be able to dig out a lot of old grease and some water from inside the base. Had done the scraper too short, so had to make a new one out of a little piece of old sheet metal laying around. Had rigged up a way to be able to suck up the last of the water in there through a sacrificial bucket that would store most of the water, not having to pull it into the vacuum cleaner, even if this one should be able to handle water. But it didn't want to function, so I had to shorten the cable on it a little. The axle, after putting it on the lathe, we added some filler to ensure that the grease is forced through the groove in the bearing, and the fit now is to the point that you need to heat the bearing some for it to slide on. And after a little test fit, the grease connection was added to push out all the old grease and any debris that might have made it in there. Same was done to both axles. Cleaned up the areas where the axles were gonna sit. Just a brass brush on the screwdriver, and the same was done to the bottom one also. That was cleaned at one point, but maybe could have gotten some paint there because that area was painted also. Then the new bearings were hammered in. I bought a cheapo one for the top, like a quarter of the cost of what the high-end brand name bottom one cost, but with the struggle we had getting that bottom one off, I hope I will never have to do that again. It needed a little tap on top of the lock ring for it to snap in place. The cylinder we just lifted in place. Since it was two of us, it was possible to do that and just secure it with a wooden piece of wood. And then we started looking at how to line up and get the different spacers in place. And here it's also possible to add an extra disc to remove as much play as possible. We rigged up a small hydraulic jack at the bottom to do some fine tuning with the position. We had kept the axles in the freezer, so they would maybe be a little easier to get through the bearing, and the top one went in there quite easily. Here it needed a little beefier punch to start with, so we brought out the big gun, the big sledgehammer, but just gentle taps, and it started moving really nicely. We saw it was a little crooked, so before driving it home we turned it a little, so, and it went in there, no issues at all really. And then the piece that secures it in place. Now we needed to extend the tube, so it was time to start letting go of the plugs so it could be forced out a little more to line up the bottom hole. And then it was about getting the spacers we wanted to fit there. Here we also added an extra thin ring, and here we were able to achieve a really tight fit that was gonna cause us a little bit of issues because one of us was a little misaligned as we tried to get the axle in. This one also came out of the freezer and it moved in quite easily through the bearing and everything, but then that last little spacer disc wasn't perfectly aligned and it was like a dead stop. So we had to force it back a little and then try getting in there and realigning it, and we had to do it a couple of times, and we were a little stressed with it heating up and starting to be harder and harder to get it in and out. So but eventually we got it to this point where it moved past that, and then it was just a matter of driving it all the way in. This one was also a little crooked, so we had to align it for the thing you lock the axle in place with to line up with the groove it's supposed to sit in. Yeah, we had gone a tiny bit too far and then we needed to twist it also. And at first we didn't go far enough, but it was possible to grab onto it on the little lip outside because it wasn't that hard to twist it around. And there we have it. Fitted grease connections to both the upper and lower to add some extra grease to it. And then reconnected the top one. The bottom one I wanted to replace the entire plastic tube going out to it because it looked like it had suffered some from all the heat we had exposed the lower part to. The hydraulic hoses were reconnected. Was a little tight getting that replaced without removing. There is a cover on top of that junction block for the central lubing, but eventually I got it in place. And then it was just a matter of reconnecting everything, putting both the caps back on and finishing this up. The machine was started and all the rigging we had used to secure the machine was removed, and then backed up a little, very slowly going back and forth because we had installed the hydraulic cylinder dry. We also had to put the wheel back on since that had been removed for better access, but I didn't cover that, so I'm moving very small movements back and forth. Eventually I brought the machine further back and could do full extensions, but that wasn't caught on camera, and that finalizes this ordeal of a fix, but we managed finally.